All right. Hello, everybody. Hope you're all doing well. Today, I want to walk all of you through something I've been working on here. Some Pokemon-inspired homebrew items for Dungeons and Dragons. So, currently, I have three really cool items inspired by one of my absolute favorite games, Pokemon Emerald. Each of these items is my own sort of homage to the box art legendaries of the third generation of Pokemon. Groudon, Kyogre, and Rayquaza, respectively. I think there's a lot to love here, and a lot of really cool mechanics to pull from Pokemon, honestly. I think they turned out pretty cool, and I'm excited to share them all with you. Um, if you're interested in looking at them or seeing updated versions, there is a link to the Homebrewery page in the description. But that should be everything, so let's just jump right into it. So, first up here is the Precipice Blade. Some of you might immediately know this weapon is inspired by Groudon. Precipice Blade is his signature move. So, really cool thing to pull from. This is actually what first inspired me to do this. But yeah, the Precipice Blade is a magical greatsword of legendary rarity that requires attunement. While attuned to it, you have an immunity to all fire damage. You gain a +3 bonus to attack and damage rolls made with the item. Additionally, it deals an extra 2d6 fire damage anytime it hits. While the weapon is drawn, it sheds overwhelming heat in a 10-foot radius. Any creature that ends its turn within that radius takes 2d6 fire damage. And the weapon has 16 charges. While holding it, you can use an action to spend one or really two or more of its charges to cast the following spells. Spell save DC of 18. Of Shatter for 2 charges, Fireball for 3 charges, Wall of Stone for 5 charges, Firestorm for 7 charges, or Earthquake for 8 charges. The weapon regains 1d10 plus 6 charges daily at dawn, and if you expend the last charge, you have to roll a d20. On a 1, the Earthquake spell is cast centered on your location, and if you're not on the ground, the Shatter spell is cast at your location as though using an 8th level spell slot. So yeah, like I said, this was the sort of concept that first got me to do this. I really love Groudon as a Pokemon, and I thought it'd be really cool. He had some really cool stuff for me to pull from, and to sort of D&D-ify. Probably one of the coolest things is Groudon's ability in Pokemon. Drought causes the battlefield to be covered in harsh sunlight, which makes fire moves better, weakens water moves, and I thought it'd be really cool to have a way to reflect that in Dungeons and Dragons. And so what I came up with was this sort of fiery aura while the weapon is drawn, harmful to your allies and enemies alike, very volatile, sort of feeding into this primal, volcanic sort of theming around this item. But yeah, I think it turned out really cool. I really also like the final part of the item, the sort of risk of harming yourself or your allies if you use the abilities of this thing a little too liberally. Kind of feeds into the idea of a precipice, right? Like if you push it up to that edge, things could go really wrong for you. But yeah, I'm really happy with how it turned out. But yeah, that's the item inspired by Groudon. So next up here we have the Origin Sphere, inspired by Kyogre, the Sea Basin Pokemon, everybody's favorite whale legendary from Pokemon. It is a wondrous item of legendary rarity, also requires attunement. While you're attuned to it, you have the ability to breathe underwater and a swimming speed of 90 feet. While holding the sphere, you can use an action to unleash a pulse of the elemental energy inside at a creature within 120 feet. They have to make a DC 19 dex save or take 4d10 bludgeoning and be pushed back 10 feet. On a success, they take no damage and are not pushed. It also has some properties that it can use once a day each that it regains at dawn. So the first of those is the Control Weather ability. You can use an action to control the weather within 5 miles of you, bringing torrential rain, stormy wind, and cold temperatures as with a Control Weather spell. Additionally, you don't need to concentrate to maintain this change in weather. Second, it has the Tidal Wave ability. You can use an action to conjure a massive wave of water within 120 feet of you, 60 feet long, 30 feet wide, and 30 feet tall. And then you can command it to move up to 30 feet with a bonus action. Each creature caught in its path needs to make a dexterity saving throw, a DC 19. On a fail, they take 8d6 and are knocked prone. On a success, half as much damage and they aren't knocked prone. The wave remains for a minute as though concentrating on a spell, and it acts as difficult terrain for the duration. You can continue to move this wave and force things to repeat their saves with bonus actions on subsequent turns as long as you're concentrating. And then finally is the Storm Strike. You can use an action to manifest a storm cloud and cause it to strike a point within 120 feet of you. Each creature within 15 feet of that point needs to make a dex save or take 10d6 lightning damage, half as much on a success. And that's it for the Origin Sphere. I really wanted to, pull from Kyogre's abilities while making it different from this Precipice Blade, and it's a legendary item, so I thought it would be really cool to give it the ability to sort of control the weather. It's a bit limited. The regular Control Weather spell so it gives you a lot of options. This one, you can only do it one specific way, but you don't have to concentrate, and you get to do it as an action. I think that it's really cool for the theming. It's really awesome item in that regard. There's some cool utility I think you could really have with making it stormy whenever you want, bringing storms with you wherever you go. After that, I knew I wanted it to sort of be able to unleash these elemental powers like Groudon. Kyogre is an elemental legendary, very much defined by the ocean and its power, and so I thought that giving it some abilities like the tidal wave, being able to send these massive crashing waves of water on your enemies and sort of impairing their movement on the battlefield while being able to move fine yourself because of that swim speed, as well as just that gout of water that you could release would be really cool. And I'm pretty happy with it. I think it's really strong, but I think there are also some enemies where it's just not going to be very effective, like flying enemies, things that can break your concentration. It's a legendary item, so obviously a lot of value here, but you can only use it one time too. I think it'd be really easy to waste it potentially. And then the Storm Strike. I just wanted to give it a little more oomph, really show that it was created to harness storms in their entirety, and I think it turned out really well. Pretty simple, but a really nice thing. Call down a big lightning strike once a day. I think it's really cool. So, last up here, have the Dragon Mantle, inspired by Rayquaza, the Sky High Pokemon from Emerald itself. The Dragon Mantle is a wondrous item of legendary rarity, also requires attunement. While wearing the cloak, you gain a +2 bonus to your AC. You can grip the edges of the cloak, causing it to unfurl into dragon's wings, allowing you to fly at a speed of 90 feet until you release the edges of the cloak. And at each dawn, you can choose a color for the cloak to assume, granting you resistance to one type of damage, also giving you a breath weapon of the same damage type. You can use an action to release this 90-foot line, 10 feet wide, force creatures to make a save against that breath weapon, doing damage based off of what you've chosen once per dawn. So with this item, I strayed a little bit away from Rayquaza. I knew I wanted the ability to fly and have this mobility would be really cool. And I wanted to give it some defensive utility. I felt like the AC bonus and the sort of fluctuating color would be really cool. And I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. I tried to sort of take inspiration from more of the D&D universe, and give it a tie to these chromatic dragons specifically, with it being able to change between these different colors and grant these breath weapons. I think it makes it a bit more flexible and applicable to pretty much any kind of a campaign. Almost like instead of a Cloak of the Bat, it's a legendary Cloak of the Dragon. And then there's some cool synergy too, because while you're flying, holding the edges of the cloak, there's a lot of stuff that you can't do, but you can use your breath weapon. Even though it's once per dawn, you could fly and use your breath weapon, and I think that's a really cool option. The mobility is always really nice, and I think this item turned out really well. That's it for the items that I have to show you guys. Of course, the link is in the description if you want to check it out yourself. There's some other stuff on the document too, some little lore that you could pull from if you want to, but of course, with homebrew stuff, and with anything in D&D, it's really applicable to so many different things. But if you guys have any suggestions, things that you think are overpowered or should be tuned a certain way, let me know. I will be checking back on this and probably updating this as I see things that need to be changed with these items. And I'm always looking for new homebrew ideas as well, always doing some homebrew stuff. So if you guys have any suggestions of things you think I should try and make or bring into D&D, I'd love to see that. But thanks for your time. Thanks for checking out the video. Hope you guys like it.